If this is your first time catching me on my YouTube channel, my name is Lucy Price. I'm a relationship coach, but here on this channel, we talk about relationships, self-love, and how to create a lifestyle that you actually want to live in. So if that sounds up your alley, I hope you'll join us. I hope you'll subscribe, hit that notification bell, all of that good YouTube stuff. Let's get into the video. I really wanted to do a how to have the best relationships in 2024 video because I think there's going to be some things in this video that you might not have heard in terms of having good relationships. I think most of the go-to things in having good relationships are stuff like communication and setting boundaries, and I agree with all of that. That is true. However, those aren't really the specific things I've included in today's video. They can be a part of it, but they're not the focus. I have 5 focuses for us today, and the first one is to do a self-audit, to get really honest with yourself of how you are showing up and what you are thinking and believing about your relationships. I once heard this saying that our relationships are just our thoughts about them. Take a moment to think about that. Our relationship with someone is the thoughts we're having about them. Sometimes not even what the actual conversations are, or the dynamic is, or the shared connections, or the experiences, but just our thoughts about them. That's kind of trippy, right? But I think it's really true, and I think that's why we can have relationships and connections with people who are no longer in our lives, whether that's because they've moved away or if they passed on, whichever it happens to be. But I think our thoughts and our beliefs are so impactful in the quality of relationships we experience and how we just feel about the relationships in general. So the first step is just to do a self-audit to really understand your own thoughts, your own beliefs, and how you are showing up to your relationships right now and what's important to you in your relationships right now. On the Shift Your Story podcast, I have an episode that I think is going to be very helpful for you when you do your self-audit. It is podcast episode number 23, What Are Your Beliefs About Relationships Anyway? I retook that line 5 times for some reason, it just keeps jumbling in my mouth. But what are your beliefs about relationships anyway? Episode 23, go check that out. But everything in this section is going to allude to the bigger picture over there. So to get clear about your own mindset, your own beliefs, how you're showing up to your relationships, doing a self-audit, one of the first things I want you to think about is what are your thoughts, what are your opinions, what are your beliefs that you just kind of throw away? Those side comments, those jokes, those things you kind of say under your breath or think, or you kind of laugh about. Those are some of your subconscious thoughts and beliefs. Those are some of those beliefs coming out in a way that you can see. Whenever someone asks me, how do I tap into my subconscious? How do I get aware of what's actually going on? Because it's the subconscious, it's not conscious, it's subconscious. Whenever someone goes down that path with me, one of the first things I say is our subconscious comes out in our reality. Our subconscious comes out in the way we speak, in the way we engage, in the way we act with other people. It comes out in tiny comments and tiny decisions, or seemingly tiny comments and decisions. So get curious with yourself. What thoughts are you throwing away, making a joke about, saying under your breath? What do you believe about men? What do you believe about women? What do you believe about people? What do you believe about dating? Just asking yourself some questions is really helpful in doing a self-audit and being curious about it. I think this is where journaling can be really helpful, because when you journal and give your brain a chance to just stream of conscious go, a lot of things come out that when you reread, you can see the cracks in the foundation. You can see where there are beliefs or opinions happening around relationships and around yourself in relationships. So for example, all men are foolish. All men do this. All men are like this. Oh, there's no good men out there. That's your thought, that's your belief, and that is definitely contributing to how you feel about dating and relationships and the quality of dates and relationships you have. So it's not nothing. It's something to be very aware of because it is impacting your relationships. If you really struggle to kind of look at yourself from an outside perspective, you can get reflections from other people. I just really encourage caution around this because other people have their own thoughts and opinions too. Other people have their own belief systems, and you want to be mindful of what you're taking in from other people. But you can ask. You can ask other people for reflections on you. Just make sure it's people you trust that have no hidden agendas. I also think this is where hiring a coach or hiring a therapist can be really helpful for your relationships in 2024. So hiring someone else to help you get underneath your thoughts and beliefs, to reflect those things back to you, to point different things out that may or may not be helping you in your relationships. And my last technique to kind of getting that outside perspective is to try to look at yourself as if you were looking at someone else. So look at yourself, look at your thoughts, look at your decisions, look at your patterns, your behaviors, your past relationships. And if it was someone else, a friend or someone you didn't know, what would you think about them? What would you think about their thoughts or their beliefs or their behaviors? What do you think would be going on for them? What do you think their patterns are? I found that when I do this for myself, I actually look at myself with a much more compassionate eye, with a lot more love when I do this. So do have a compassionate lens when you're looking at yourself, but try and look at yourself as if you were just some person and you didn't know much about them. You just saw what you saw, like you see other people in your life. The second phase in having the best relationships in 2024 is really getting clear on what you want, the why behind wanting it, and how you will know when you have it. So what relationships do you want? Why? And how will you know that you have that relationship or you're dating that person? How will you actually know? I think this last piece is actually crucial because a lot of the times people will say to themselves, or I hear people say, hear clients say, I want this. I want a man that's tall and successful and looks after me and is compassionate, or I want a woman that's driven, that's kind, that's attractive, that's funny. I want this thing. And then I ask them, okay, what does that look like? And there's nothing there. There's not an answer there. And so really get curious for yourself, what does that actually look like? How will you know when you have it? Because otherwise you're going to be searching and fighting and trying to have a certain kind of relationship, and you won't even know if you have it or not. So that last piece is actually pretty important to this section, this phase of having the best relationships in 2024. But get clear on this in all of your relationship categories. So who you're dating, who you're friends with, who you're acquainted with, your career and networking relationships, your family. Get really clear on what you want, why you want it, and how you will know when you will have it, what that will actually look or feel like. You don't have to it doesn't have to perfectly fit in and check all the boxes off, but you have to have enough of an idea. Because otherwise, let's say, for example, you're on dating apps, you're just swiping. You're not clear. Do you want someone to hook up with or do you want someone to marry? Those are two very different categories of people, and you're going to get different results depending on what your why is behind it. And it's going to change who you're actually looking for and how you'll know when you have it. So it's kind of important. It's just kind of important. And I feel like people don't spend enough time here when they want good relationships. They just you just kind of want them, but there's no organization or plan or why or understanding of what it actually looks like when you have it. Phase 3 or step 3 or category 3 of having the best relationships in 2024 is to do a relationship review. My last YouTube video was actually all about relationship reviews. So here it is. Check out the link in the description box. But there's already a video tutorial on this, so it's super easy for you. Definitely check that out and go through the relationship review over there. But I am going to walk you through just a little bit about what a relationship review is. So a relationship review is a place where you can get really intentional and clear about your relationships and what relationships or relationship dynamics are working for you and aren't working for you, as well as actionable things that you can do to improve the relationships or maintain the relationships. It's a place for you to get clear on what relationships you even want to deepen into and improve, and what relationships maybe it's time to release or let go of because it's not fulfilling or secure in the way that it was. And maybe that release is just expectations or a degree of closeness that you have with that person now that you're probably not going to experience for at least a time going forward. It's also a place where you can just get really clear on what your priority relationships actually are, because having the best relationships is also getting clear on what relationships are important to you. So in the relationship review, you will see options to answer questions like, what touch points do I need to have with this person to really feel close to them? How often do I need to see them? What boundaries do I need to have in place in this relationship to make sure that I feel safe, I feel good in the relationship and in who I am? How often do I need to keep in touch with this person or see this person for it to be fulfilling? What conversations do I really enjoy with this person or not? It just gives you an opportunity to get clear on what things are and aren't working for you. The fourth thing is a little bit more of a perspective thing that I want to bring into relationships as a whole. And that is that different relationships fit at different times. Different relationships require different expectations or standards. There's different types of love and connection. And sometimes when we're feeling upset in our relationships, it's because we're trying to make a certain relationship fit in a way that it just doesn't fit in our lives. For example, this person that you're really interested in who is attractive and funny and driven, but doesn't want to commit to you. When you're feeling upset in that relationship, it's because you're trying to make that square peg fit in a round hole. You're trying to make that person be who they aren't and fit into your life in a way that they don't. And so part of having incredible relationships next year is being honest with yourself and being real with yourself and asking yourself the sometimes tough question of, who am I trying to make fit in categories where they just don't fit? Where are my standards and expectations of people actually over what the relationship calls for? When you're able to look at relationships as they are and how they actually fit into your life, those relationships have the opportunity to become a lot more fulfilling and successful in your life. But trying to force things that just don't fit is what causes a lot of tension, frustration, insecurity, and lack of fulfillment in relationships. Can you meet people where they are? Can you find the joy in what the relationship dynamic currently is or can be? And can you allow yourself to either invest more or let go of certain things in relationships so that you can feel that quality, so that you can feel fulfilled? Where might you need to adjust your own expectations of people, your own standards, and your own definitions of what different relationships mean? And the last phase is to make a plan, follow the plan, and tweak it as you go. Set yourself up for success. Give yourself little cheat codes when it comes to relationships. For example, birthdays. We have this magical thing called Google Calendar, where we can put things in there and set reminders for ourselves to alert our phones that there's a thing happening. It's pretty great. Like, we did not have this 30 years ago. This is amazing. Let's use it. If you are dating someone and you have an anniversary, put it in the calendar. Put their birthday in your calendar. Set yourself a reminder 2 weeks ahead of time that you have an anniversary coming up. You need to go to the store and you need to get some chocolate. Whatever it is. But set yourself up for success, because we have so much access to technology that can support us. Set yourself up for success. Another quick little trick that I like to do is making notes about people in my phone. So I make notes of what color they like, what games they like, what music they like listening to, and it's all just under their contacts. It's so easy nowadays to it sounds kind of weird when I say it this way, but keep track of people and keep notes on people. It's easier than we think, and it's way more rewarding in the long term. If you can remember that someone likes a certain kind of mango and then you just give them that mango, aka I did this for my boyfriend, they're so impressed by it. They're so oh my God, you remembered my favorite food was a mango? And it's yeah, I did, because I took the notes to my phone, but I did remember. Use those things. It's so helpful. Anyway, it doesn't have to just be about putting things in your phone. It's also creating those habits with people and creating those touch points with people. So if you want to develop a friendship with someone and you figured out okay, these are the kind of touch points I want to have with them to develop this relationship. This is what I want this relationship to feel like when you have those guidelines, Put it into play, put it into practice. If you want to develop a relationship with them, go to the events where you see them, message them after the events, make plans to get coffee, remember things about their life that tells them you're paying attention to them. Like, put these things into practice, act on these habits, because that's how you see the payoff in your relationships. And then also get really clear about the plan with yourself. If you know you have certain things on your side of the street to clean up, such as you avoid conflict, or being vulnerable is hard for you, you find it hard to trust in your relationships, or you feel really anxious. Like, if you know those things are at play, create a plan for yourself there too. So create a plan to take a course on communication, or to read a book, or to hire a therapist or a coach, whatever it is, but set a plan up for yourself too that is actionable. Like, block it off in your calendar, make it a priority for yourself. Okay, yeah, we actually do have a bonus now. I said 5, I'm gonna throw in a 6 here at the end, is to really invest in the relationship skills. So, okay, yeah, I guess I am bringing in communication and boundary setting and that sort of stuff, but like, just bear with me for a second. Relationships are a skill. Relationships aren't just magical things that just appear. Like, you do click with people in a really magical way sometimes, but you still have to upkeep that relationship. And the upkeep of that relationship comes down to your skills, your ability to have a relationship. And so that's stuff like empathy, compassion, connection, building connection, being able to be vulnerable, emotional regulation, having a clean mindset on relationships, being able to communicate in conflict, being able to navigate conflict, being able to set priorities in a relationship. These are skills. These are things that you are taught, you learn, and you develop over time. But make a plan on how you will actually improve your relationships or improve your relationship skills. Is it just working with a coach or a therapist? Is it courses? Is it books? Is it just time and intention? Is it reflecting on your experiences and how you can do better next time? Whatever that is for you, but actually invest in the relationship skills too. That's your bonus 6. And it's kind of linked to number 5. But that's it. That is my guideline for you to have the best relationships in 2024. Which one stood out to you the most? Like, which one did you resonate with the most, where you were like, yeah, that was the one I needed to hear for my relationships next year? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear that. But Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you have a fantastic 2024 season. I hope that 2023 brought you love and good times, and if not, then good riddance. Have a good one, everybody. If you liked this video, if this was helpful, if this was supportive, and you want more of these videos popping up on your screen, then hit the subscribe button. I'll see you next time. Bye.